Hello Watch fans. Today I'm going to be talking about the Citizen BJ7110-89E. It is a GMT diver in titanium, and I want to talk about who this watch is going to be good for and who it's not going to be good for. So I'm going to start off with the pros of the watch, things that I like. So I've had this watch for a few weeks. I've worn it for a couple weeks, and I'm going to return it, and I'll tell you why towards the end. Um, but some things I like about the watch. This watch is a pretty good value, I think. It's titanium, so it's very light, solar powered. Um, I feel like you're getting a lot for the money. I think this is about. I got it used. It was about 350 US dollars, and I think new they're around maybe 400 US dollars. This color variant, I believe, it's a Japanese market color, so it's a little harder to get in the United States, but obviously not impossible. So for the price, you're getting a it's a GMT diver solar, and it's in titanium. So I think it's a pretty good deal. Sapphire crystals. You're getting a lot. I think you're getting a lot for your money. Now, I'll get to the cons in a little bit, but the execution of this watch, I feel it's like just not good enough. But I'll get to that in a minute. So the size, 43 millimeters, but because it's so light, it wears very well. I have a 7-inch wrist. You can see compared to the Seiko SKX, it's basically this. It's almost the same size. Like it looks like the same size, but because it's titanium, I feel like it wears. It doesn't wear very big, so I think it's nice. I think the sizing is good. If it was any bigger than 43, I think it would be a little bit unapproachable for a lot of people. But I feel like the size is pretty good. I would say it's about as big as an SKX or traditional Seiko divers. So you got the solar power, so it's set it and forget it, which is great. And the GMT, you got the yellow hand there for the GMT function, and then the 24-hour scale on the inner chapter, the chapter ring there. Legibility, I think, is pretty good. This is kind of a weird mix. The GMT movement in this, if you're familiar with GMT movements, there's office GMT movements, which is where the GMT hand can jump, or you have a traveler GMT, which is where the hour hand will jump. So, being a frequent traveler, you would want a traveler GMT function, which this watch is like. I think technically it's a traveler GMT because you can pull out the crown and you can. Where is it here? You can make the hour hand jump, but you can only make it jump in one direction, which I think is a huge problem with a traveler GMT. So I would consider this more of an office GMT where you kind of just set the GMT hand and then you can use it to track 2 time zones, but I wouldn't say it's very useful for traveling across multiple time zones frequently where you're going to be having to set the hour hand or the GMT hand frequently. So I would consider this more of an office GMT. It's got the dive bezel, which is great. The bezel action is just awesome. I love the aesthetic of this watch. I love the feel of the bezel. Sapphire crystal, and it's got the Cyclops there for the date window. The Cyclops is embedded in the crystal, so it's not raised at all like it is on, say, like a Rolex. I don't really feel like the Cyclops does very much, so it doesn't really do much for me. I appreciate that it's not raised, though. It kind of keeps the watch a little bit more trim looking, and gives it more of a, I don't know, maybe more of a dressy look. So those are the things I like. Good size, good weight, solar movement, dive bezel, sapphire crystal. It's pretty good value. Okay, so let's talk about the things I don't like and the reason that I'm going to return in this watch. So I bought this watch because I'm a frequent traveler and I use the I use diving bezels very frequently just to time different things and keep track of how much time has gone by, or if I'm doing something at a specific time. So I really was looking forward to having a Traveler GMT watch along with the dive bezel. And here's the main problem with this watch is that it is a Traveler GMT, but the hour hand only jumps in one direction. So you can see here, you can make it jump forward, but if you spin it the other way, it spins the date. So you can't spin the time backwards. So if you were going from California to Hawaii, say you're going backwards 3 hours, you don't have any way to set the hour hand backwards 3 hours. So I considered keeping the watch because I thought, well, I can jump the hour hand forward 9 hours. That's the same as skipping it back 3 hours, right? But the problem with that is that the date isn't going to stay accurate. So you can see the date window here on the 18th. So if you jump forward 9 and then the date changes. So I feel like this Traveler GMT functionality on this watch doesn't really work because you can't set the hour hand backwards any. So that's a bummer. I was really bummed about that. That's the main reason I'm not going to be keeping the watch. And the other thing is this movement is just it's pretty sloppy. So if you look at the GMT hand here, when you're jumping the hour hand here, you can see the GMT hand and even the minute hand, they're kind of just bouncing around. It's sloppy. So that's basically the reason I'm returning the watch. You just got this kind of, it almost seems like a sloppy effort at this GMT movement. So that's why it's going back. A couple other minor things that I don't really like about it. The bracelet on here, this is personal. I don't like the taper on the bracelet. I would like it to be tapered a little bit more. I'm not sure off the top of my head what this is. It looks, I think it's 22 millimeters, and I'm guessing that it tapers down to probably 20. So just a 2 millimeter taper, which is not as much as I would like. And that's basically it. So if you're going to be using this watch in like an office setting where you're not changing time zones frequently, I would recommend this watch. But if you're going to be using it for traveling frequently where you're going to be changing time zones a lot, I think that I don't know, there's not really a lot of great options at this price point. I know Seiko does have a GMT Sumo, which is solar powered, but the size of the Seiko is bigger than this. It's not titanium, and I don't have any hands-on experience with that Sumo GMT. That's the only one that comes to mind for me that would be a good contender if you're looking for a $400 or $500 solar GMT Traveler. But so that's it. Let me know what you think about this watch here. If you have any comments about it, if you own one, what do you like? What don't you like? Just for some size comparison. This is an older Citizen Pro Master that I've had for a long time. Yeah, just a touch bigger than that. I think this is 40 millimeters or 41 millimeters or so. And this is another dual time Citizen that I've had for a while. This is another titanium one. They don't make this one anymore, but anyway, pretty close, but no cigar on this one. I'm going to be returning it. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.